Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala khairul mursaleen. Muhammadin al-Nabi al-Ummi. Wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Amma ba'd yaqulu Allahu ta'ala fil Quran al-Kareem. Inna Allaha wa malaikatuhu yusalluna ala nabi. يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما اللهم صل على سيدنا مولانا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم. ذلك بأن الله لم يكن مغيرا نعمة أنعمها على قوم حتى يغيروا ما بأنفسهم وأن الله سميع عليم. Verily, because Allah will never change the grace which He has bestowed on a people until they change what is in their own souls. And verily Allah is He who heareth and knoweth all things. Another says, Inna Allah la yughayyiru ma بِقَوْمٍ حَتَّى يُغَيِّرُوا مَا بِأَنفُسِهِمْ. This is two ayats that we've liked a lot, and it's basically verily never will Allah change the condition of a people until they change it themselves with their own souls. The other ayat, very similar, because Allah will never change the grace. The wording is different here. Because Allah will never change the grace, niyama, which He had bestowed on people until they change what is in their own souls. For verily Allah is He who knoweth and heareth all things. These are ayats that we've always used and kind of clung to. Verily, Allah does not change men's condition unless they change their inner selves. And when Allah wills people to suffer evil consequences of their own evil deeds, there's none who could avert it. For they have none who could protect them from Him, that is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I'd just like to read, there's a footnote here. That which is in themselves, this statement has both a positive and a negative condition. Allah does not withdraw His blessing, that's His ni'mah, from men unless their inner selves become depraved. Just as He does not bestow His blessings upon sinners until they change their own disposition and become worthy of His grace. In its wider sense, this is an illustration of the divine law of cause and effect. So it's the sunnah of Allah, which dominates the lives of both individuals and communities and makes the rise and fall of civilization dependent on people's moral qualities and the changes in their inner selves. So when it uses term anfusihim, it means inside of themselves. So I'll read the English meaning of all of these one more time. And it says, verily never will Allah change the condition of a people until they change it themselves with their own souls. Inna Allah la yughayyiru ma bi qawmin hatta yughayyiru ma bi anfusihim. With their, verily, that means for sure, Allah will not change the condition of a people till they change it themselves. Because Allah never changes the grace which He has bestowed. Now, interjected in this is the word niyama. Niyama, this means grace. Because Allah will never change the grace which He hath bestowed on a people until they change what is in their own souls. And verily Allah is He who heareth and knoweth all things. I wanted to read those have always been favorite ayats, and we have tried to cling to them with our hind teeth. So basically it's saying that Allah will not change the condition of a people until they change that which is in themselves, anfusihim. The other says Allah will not change the grace which He has bestowed on people. That's the difference in this. I want to tell a little story. I was sitting back there when I read the first ayat. It was a sister sitting back there, and her and a few more sisters was here. And so the sister said they was familiar with the first ayat. That word is not for condition, that word is niyama, is grace. And technically she was right, but she didn't pay attention to, I read both surahs, and they seem like that is the same one, but there's one thing that's different. So I didn't argue with her, and in fact, I didn't even correct her on the one I was reading. But later on, one of the other sisters, household sisters, they really be up on each other. So she said to me once, well, one of the sisters, Sister so-and-so, corrected you on that something I had said. So I said, from now on, I'll never do that again. I'll never use chivalry, be honorable and say this is sister, and I don't have time to talk to her about elevating her knowledge. But no, she was thinking that I was misinterpreting the ayat, because she said niyama is grace, which it is. Okay, but so anyway, the point is this, is that the idea is very clear in both of these ayats. Number one, Allah won't change the grace which He has bestowed upon a people till they change the situation themselves. And Allah will not change the situation until the people change anfusihim, internally, until they elevate themselves internally. So this is these ayats I wanted to deal with, because it deals with kind of our continuous subject today. If nobody, or if somebody has not been paying real close attention, this transition would be a big surprise, because it would seem like to come out of nowhere. But If we read newspaper articles earlier, we always said that our allies are going to be tree huggers and all of that type of stuff. And all along the way, I'll put it this way. When we came back here, man, it's been a while now. We said our intention was to go back to California almost right away. I came here to take my daughter up to school or go pick her up, one of the two. And in January of last year, I was going to go back. But then we had made a forecast about certain things that were happening in the Muslim world. And at that time, one of our top brothers was martyred. And that caused, at first, people would have thought that his martyrdom had caused a big chasm in the Ummah. It would lead to a big deficit because he was so important for community development, for martial arts development. When I say martial, I mean war, making war, and coordinating people. In fact, this brother, Agha Suleimani, he was asked to come and participate in a conference in Iraq. And he came. And there's some chit-chat about who invited him, and that those people that invited him might have set him up. Might have set him up. And those people that invited him that's their job, but as information came out later, which we knew that there's certain people that could have attended certain meetings like in Syria and other places, and they didn't attend them. They told them to stay home. In fact, they told them to stay home, and we have your white folks' friends, Medea Benjamin, them, they're here. You like them so much, so the person was very upset about about that. Although they had invited those people, say, you stay there with us instead of coming over here and talking in detail about what we're up to, because your record is not looking real clear on these things, one after another. So anyway, we stayed here all of this year, and we have been prepared. We've prepared post-Ramadan to go back to California. We're prepared intellectually, psychologically. We're prepared in every way to go back there and to do certain things in the legal sphere. But it seems like that clarification is coming so fast on so many levels that it means that we should stay here a little while longer. And we should get certain things together before we go back to California. And I'll explain the importance of those things. The thing of getting, for instance, we had a lady that was going to rent that place next door, 4481. I was over there yesterday cleaning up and straightening up. And because we'd have a place, they want to rent it already. But that's going to be headquarters. And I'll tell you which headquarters. So I'll just reiterate the ayat and go right on in the talk for the day. Verily Allah does not change men's condition unless they change their inner selves. And when Allah wills people to suffer an evil consequence of their own, basically Allah will not change the condition of a people till they change their inner selves. I won't read the footnote. Anfusihim, change with their selves or change their inner selves. The other ayat very similar. Because Allah will never change the grace. This is when niyama come in. Inna Allah qawmun, dhalika bi anna Allah lam yagu mughayra niyamatan anfusi, what is this? Niyamaha Allah qawmin hatta yughayru ma bi anfusihim wa anna Allah sami'un alimun. Because Allah will never change the grace which He has bestowed on a people until they change what is in their own souls. And verily, Allah is He who knows, who hears and knows all things. Okay, so now we'll get into the subject. The subject today is a transitional policy. A transitional policy for blacks, Latinos, Asians, and white liberals. That's just, technically it's for everybody, but these are the targeted groups. The policy is for blacks, Latinos, which blacks and Latinos should not have an aggressive idea about each other, or they should return to the days of the brown berets, the Black Panthers, and young lords, Puerto Ricans up in New York, right? And the tree huggers and other white liberals. And we would put most of the people that were participating in Black Lives Matter as white liberals. Some are there because they support the liberal cause of black freedom. And it don't cost them nothing but going out and walking in the demonstration. Okay, and that's one group. The environment has changed, the winds of the environment have changed, and they're blowing in a direction. So, a ship, if it's a good captain, can set sails in such a way that he can almost sail a ship against the wind as long as the wind is blowing. That's why the sails can turn and all that. You may not be able to sail directly into the wind, but if the wind is blowing from over here, you can set the sails so you can go over there, or you can go that way, or you can go that way, which the wind is trying to blow you anyway. So 75% of the directions of the world is open to you if you set your sails correctly. And if you understand the wind and which way is blowing. So, as I said, this is a transitional policy for blacks, Latinos, Asians. All of a sudden, the people that didn't want to have anything to do with you, and that had shops and what have you in and around your neighborhood, all of a sudden, they're in the boat with you. with black people. During the rebellion in 1992 in Los Angeles, those Korean store owners had AR-15s lined up against the wall and looked like all of them had military training. They was laid out to blast the Negro. If the Negro comes in my store, I'm going to kill him. Simple as that. They were all like that. They had almost closed Koreatown, left a few there for defense, and they spread out, double up in all their stores that they owned around the LA basin. They was all in there, and they showed pictures on the news that they had them poor little stores packed with Koreans. And if you take the Chinese, they are doing so well. Chinese, Koreans, all the Asians. But for 20, 30 years ago, they was deep into the Chinese because they said, Chinese Americans, that you guys, you're so smart. Chinese and Indians and all that, you guys are so smart, man, that they took them off UC Berkeley and everywhere. They took them off the minority list. You guys are not a minority anymore. Why? Because you're filling up our universities. And they studied so hard they embarrassed white folks. It's not that they're smarter, they just study it. That's what they do, they study. Okay, they're relaxing a little, some of them now. They're 50 years old and they're starting to drive nice cars and all that. Two generations, they didn't mess with no pretty cars. It's the niggas. Anyway, I'll get to the point. The point is that America is in a certain situation right now. Not only America, but the world. So, there's one group of people that have been flooding mainly police type jobs. They haven't been hitting heavily with, at least we don't know they have, tobacco and firearms and FBI. The FBI is loaded with Mormons. Loaded with Mormons. It's been that way for a long time. And some of the other government agencies like CIA and others have a lot of Mormons, and Mormons is a minority, right? But they're not a minority in the FBI and those groups. Why? They have a system of dawah. For 2 years, you have to go overseas to Latin America, to Africa, and you have to so you got to get the language down, and you got to go over there and get to work. But guess what? When they come back here, they're top of the line for what? For FBI and for CIA, because they've already been there. And Mormons were urinated on, hated. They used to string them up. Mormons, shoot, in the good old, not the good old days, but in the days of when I had an interview with the FBI, I said, there's best people in America starts with M, Muslims and Mormons. One of the guys was a Mormon. I knew it the way he reacted. And the other guy knew he was a Mormon because, the way he reacted to it. But, so I'm not saying every other FBI agent is a Mormon. But they're lily white, they got a good clean record, you know what I mean? And why are they in there anyway? When America was slaughtering Mormons. Protection. You can't go get them because there they are. They'll help you get a deviant Mormon, right? You ever see these deviant Mormons? They had them in no time because the feds help them because they don't support the 12 apostles that they got out there. They're renegades. They get lumped up in a hurry, right? You ever see that, how fast they lump them boys up in a hurry? Because the Mormons help them. They know all about them, so they go get them. But the Mormons in the FBI now, they're protected. You can't do anything to them because you have to make a plan, have everybody in the office, and you have to talk about it. And if you even mention anything close to Salt Lake City or anything about, people that don't drink coffee, they'll get, hey, what did you say? Because they're in there in heavy numbers. That's why the Mormons used to walk up and down the street. I cornered them over there on their street, and I talked to them about it. Say, the government just likes us because we have a clean lifestyle. I said, sure they do. Anyway, so now, the only people, the police killings of black people has not decreased, it's increased recently. And why there's no holding back, or why they won't even just, say, hey, let's give the niggas a break a while. They can't. They are staunch white nationalists. Poor whites have infiltrated police departments. They avoid the feds because of lie detector tests and stuff, but they can beat them if they have to. So they specifically have manned police departments all over America. Poor whites that hate blacks, Jews, and all those other people. And them people marching down in Virginia, Jews will not replace us, have nothing to do with them. Those guys were government marchers. Jews will not replace us, carrying torches like during the Hitler days, doing Kristallnacht, 1938, carrying torches and all of that stuff. No. You notice the white nationalist meeting that this guy was supposed to pull off here in D.C., wasn't but 2 people there. All other white nationalists stayed away from him because they know, remember, Beam and all them other guys are the ones that write the books on, that's right, leaderless resistance. They got all kind of things that they working on. But one thing is infiltration of police departments. And once you get arrested several times over and over again, you can feel it. You can smell them. You can see them. They're everywhere, right? Okay. Now, they're armed and they have the right to shoot you down, and they shoot Negroes down more today than they did in the old days. In slavery, they wasn't going to shoot you. They just capture you and bring you back because they ain't going to shoot that's their product, the Negro. So they can't shoot their product. In later days, doing the Jim Crow and lynchings and burnings and all of that, okay. They don't have to do that now. They shoot blacks. And if they can shoot a few Latinos, they shoot them too. Right? They are dyed-in-the-wool racists. Okay. They're not the enlightened Jeffersonian well, in some of these groups, some of them are semi-enlightened. When I say Jeffersonian, that means Thomas Jefferson believed that you should have A revolution every 20 years or so, because people are going to learn to game the system, and that you should, you should shake yourself up. And he wrote every 20 years. If you notice, that's why certain of the so-called right-wing groups, but they're not right-wing. They're pushing they believe in constitutionalism. And they believe that, number one, years ago, you could have lumped them all in Ku Klux Klan, White Citizens Council, and all those people. But as they come down the line a little bit, there's some shadowy differences between them. And some, if I was trapped by a group of them, I would just relate to them my concern and appreciation for Thomas Jefferson. After all, him and Sally Henny, he couldn't be all that bad. And you can't burn nobody. And they like Tom. You like Tom. We like Tom. Right? I mean, I'm just, okay. Look, there's some other stuff as we go along. To go further, deeper into what we talked about today, city, state, county, and federal. The people, our people, all of these people, not only blacks, but Latinos, Asians are already doing it, but for Asians, there are certain Asians that it's a step up, Pacific Islanders and all of that. But for Koreans, it was a Korean came in here. He was with, did you see the guy? Yeah. It was a Korean, yeah. Okay. And this guy, when I mentioned your people, he said, I am an American. I said, okay, take it easy, homeboy. Don't, He's not probably hollering that loud now about America, since they have shown there. Do not overlook the trends of the things that are happening to Asian people. You watch that nasty TV. They're trying to show you blacks always attacking Asians, right? It's not true. And especially the ones killing them, they are white people. But they're trying to show you on TV. Every time you see somebody, they show you that same big old guy in Oakland trying to, attack a poor old Korean lady or something like that. That's not the reality. Now, for allies in this struggle, all of a sudden Asians, Pacific Islanders realize they're in this too. That's one of the benefits of old Don. Don ain't did nothing different than what we expected. He was there to destroy the Republican Party. Does anybody remember that? From day one, before the election, that's what he's there for. To divide it up, to destroy it, okay? To weaken it, and I get suspicious because when I was still talking with some of our friends from overseas, I was mentioning like, hey, did you guys pay off Don and he's going to destroy America for you? This is the way I was putting it to them, just to get a response. And the way they was looking and acting, you never know. You never know. Okay, but let's get back to our goal right here. The way we can combat the poor white man, that is state troopers, police, they're killing blacks. I mean, bigger now than they were. Have anybody been keeping up with this? It's you can't turn on no TV without nobody black getting killed. Oh, I thought it was a taser. Sure you did. Everybody knows there's a place you got to put your weapons. You know, that's one of the things you learn from the police. And that's where you learn from Mukhtar. Always place everything in a certain place. So when you reach there, right, that's what's there. You don't want to have the ammunition over here and you can't get to it. And, oh, where's my ammunition? Everything, they train them like boxers by rote training, not thinkers. They train police. You educate people. You train boxers. You educate intellectuals. Why you train a boxer and you train an animal? You don't have time to think. If you think about it, you're a dead man, right? If you're boxing and you thinking about, here comes a blow, it's reaction. All that stuff is reaction. When they do a science, the strategy to bring down another boxer could be semi-long range, 8-round strategy. I'm gonna mess with his vision, so I'm stay over here and hitting him in the eyes, puff his eyes up. I'm going to do that. I'm going to hit him on a certain part of the body, so pretty soon it just drops. Right? That's why they go for the guts and all that, because pretty soon you start getting hit in there a whole lot. You're going to get ready to give up and quit. I mean, you ain't going to just quit and say I quit, but you're going to feel like it. So anyway, training is for animalistic type behavior. It's not thinking. Intellectual education, as we call it in Arabic, tarbiyah, is not the same type of training. Education has a different basis. Education want to teach you, if it's true education, not the one here, how to think, how to analyze, how to reason, and how to do all that stuff. You don't have time to do that stuff. If you start thinking in the boxing ring, except for your strategy, I'm going to just hit here, I'm going to hit here, I'm going to hit here. Pretty soon, the guy's going to drop his, because that's the strategy to bring him down that way. Okay. Muhammad Ali and Jack Johnson were great strategists. When Muhammad Ali was tired, he would rope-a-dope on you. He'd get tired. When he got old, he was always doing that. And then soon, he can count, the round is almost over. What would he do? Start shining, punching, and looking good, right? For the last 20, maybe 30 seconds, but he wasn't going to start way back up in the round because he'd get tired. And when he got tired, he'd just hold you and just drag you around the ring, and you using up all your strength, trying to get off of me, man. And he just laying on you, and you just wiggling, right? You're using up your strength wiggling. You know, one of my partners, in fact, what's her name, trains a lot of boxers in Oakland. George Foreman's trainer, when he won the championship again, or went on up, he was one of my best friends. We grew up in the same neighborhood. He was older, and he used to bring Sonny Liston and all them guys. Sonny Liston probably used heroin. In fact, I know he did, you know, because he was with the big heroin dealer. That's who my friend was, you know, and they'd be together, and, you know, and I know he came from Vegas, wherever. But anyway, so Charlie used to train me a little bit in boxing, you know, when we was in the federal pen together. And so He said, no, Hank, when you get tired, he said, you really get smart. You know, when you're out of shape, because you hold on, you're doing all kind of stuff. You get smarter. If you're in super shape, you just go out there and start, I'm going to use this, and you can use it. Boy, but when you're out of shape, you get slick. You ever see them? You get slick and you get smart. You got to get through this. I'm not trained for this stuff right here. I'm not in good enough shape. And they called me up too soon, but I'm here. I can't leave. I can't just sign it, check and go on out of the rank. Okay. So here's what we're about. We're using all of our historical realities. And that's why we have chosen, and it might be a surprise for you, but it ain't no surprise for me. You remember 2020 vision? It's not 2020, this is 2021. It don't come exactly when you want it. But we've been here evolving all the time. That's what we've been doing here. Doing this last trip, doing all these trips. We've been waiting for this. What we wrote right here, we've been waiting on this. And when it come, you know that's what it was. That's why we didn't go in any other time. We didn't leave. We just, no. It's called waiting for a sign or ayat or something like that. And when it hits, okay, that's what this is, and it's not a surprise. It's a surprise to everyone else, but it's not a surprise. This human government alliance, city, state, county, federal, there's an allegiance to the Constitution. There's an allegiance to the Constitution. You know, that's your first allegiance, right? To the Constitution. Not to the agency. But who does everybody support first? The agency or the Constitution? It's the doggone agency. So when our people are in there first until they get a critical mass, maybe the first few years, they're careful not to hurt nobody, careful not to shoot nobody, but they're not going in there to propagate freedom, justice, and equality. They're in there to fill it up. And who you asking to fill it up? The people that want to fill it up anyway. Our people are trained to be house niggas. Why do you think they call D.C. a plantation? Because the level of government workers are so heavy that it feels like a plantation. Everybody knows it's a plantation. The same one they had a long time ago. It's technically a plantation. Okay, now, what we have to do is adjust our strategies, our goals, and incorporate into a policy that has a chance of working. We don't have time right now. We always been down with taking our time, and we have, and it's treated us well. We've grown old or older. We've had a chance to try this, that, and other. But that period is over. With artificial intelligence, with the rate of change that happens within a couple of years now is astronomical. So when we talk about 5 years of being a part of and 5 years going to everybody, what's so different about working within the system this time around? and working within the system the other time around. This time, with the proper teachings, it's more, you ain't gonna get everybody, but if you get 20% of the people that are joining, because number one, it's a safe place to be. Safe place money-wise. Where are you going to get any money when this economy collapses? Where are you going to get any money when the money, you're lighting cigarettes with it? Right? Inflation. What are you going to do when the Chinese use the yuan and whatever? Right? What are you going to do when it's impossible for it not to happen? With the amount of money they've been giving away and spending, it's going to collapse. It's collapsing technically now, right? Yes.
The comment about the money, it's 23 states already cut the benefits short. 23 states, all the Republicans in the South.
Hey.
By September is a deadline for all of them, but people getting short now. Yeah, like I said.
They're in a dilemma. In a dilemma, in a revolutionary period, what does the government depend on for security? All of its institutions. The police, the sheriff's department, the FBI, the military, which they're not supposed to use on us, but you think they... Anyway, the point is now infiltration of each and all of those to the highest point possible. For instance, if somebody got a master's degree right now, join the police department. Some of them, FBI's, any of them, CIA, join the departments, the State Department. Join up. Get your PhD as you're doing whatever you do, right? If you got right now a B, what do they call a BA or some old silly degree, right? Well, okay. You got to look at it like this. Join those institutions. The ones that are better educated evolve in there, right? The one that are better educated, the chief of police, is just the one that took the test and got more than everybody. They wasn't on the police department longer than other people, right? They make the white woman the police chief because she was smarter than them niggas that was hitting on her when she was a patrol woman, right? I mean, smarter by their statistics. Even 30 years ago, 40 years ago, it was 50 years ago when I started taking those tests for police chief, for fire chief. You know, when you go to the bookstore, they got all those tests for fire chief. You ever see them? For police chief, for a regular test. They're not the exact test, but those are the kind of questions. They've been had them for years. They have them in everywhere. Just look up on that, tests for police chief.
Yeah, they probably have study guides.
That's what I mean. That's study guides. They have tons of them. I took them in the 1970s when I took them then. I took them then to find out what's the thought process. You know what I mean? Right? Okay. Those people are test-wise. Okay, now they are right now killing Negroes by the bucket load. We don't even have time to dawaize enough people to get them situated, right? And we don't have enough time. See, we use time for ourselves when we talked about longevity, but longevity it's the end of longevity because of the accelerated pace of change. It blows everything away. So when we talk about 5 years from now, that means if we done talked at all the universities, and this is a program, we're pushing this program, by the way. We're not sitting here with it. We're pushing this program. And they don't have to worry about them tables for people. You ever go to the ISNA, all that they have, what language? Dari, Persian, every language. And what do the people be doing? We need native Persian speakers. Oh, and they all, you can't get them away from the table. Who's hiring? The federal government is hiring them to spy on us, to translate what we say. What did this guy say there? I don't know. The white man don't have no idea what he said. So they ask you to tell them what they say. They've been doing this for decades. No, they've been doing it for longer than that. A long time. Okay, now we don't have time to bring people to, do some dawah, da-da-da. No. We don't have time now. It's not that we're in a hurry, but we have to make our people aware. And also, if the thing is falling, let it fall in a certain way. That means use the momentum of the people. The people, our people, black people already want to join in the system. They didn't want federal police putting out and ROTC, Howard, all them places, right? They didn't want all that. Bring them back. Fill it up. Fill it up now. Okay? Because along with, when it reaches a critical mass, the people are being educated on why you're going there. Before, they was going to get a job. And I'm not your brother. But the system has helped us a lot. It lets let everybody know, y'all is niggas. Y'all is Mexicans and Latinos. That's what you are. And don't think you're going to get it. So join up and don't help beat nobody upside the head. Just keep your hands down until critical mass. When you get a high enough percentage of people in the department, then you start to say, well, I'm here. Why are you here? I'm here to do just what I said, to uphold the Constitution. Right? If they uphold the Constitution, they can't beat you upside the head because you're a nigga. Because you're upholding the Constitution. You're upholding the Constitution. That's the first step. Do we believe in it? It's a rag. That's what George Bush said. Don't worry about it. You're now dealing with a strategy to rescue and save your people. Them other niggas out there, them niggas ain't thinking. Them Salafis and those ignoramuses, ain't nobody not saying this stuff we're talking now. It wouldn't make no difference. Whatever, you would have to have some strategy to save your people, because the time, you can see everywhere that the time is getting short, and you got to protect. They got wives and they got children and they got families, and they're not working out any protection. They're not working out any protection. They don't have any buffer zones. They don't have nothing. They just kill each other, right? We kill each other. We've been trained to do that. Okay, that's not our job is to rescue our people. In the first stage, city, state, county, federal, allegiance to the Constitution. I pledge allegiance to the Constitution of the state of Maryland. Right? The Constitution got everything you need in there for this level. You can't do nothing to no niggas because they're nigga in the book, right? Right? Everything. So once you get a little critical mass, say 10 years from now, when you got a lot of people in there thinking like you, because they came right out, they should empty out those black universities right now. Come in and join the system. They was going to join anyway, but now joining for a purpose. Joining for a purpose. They didn't seen enough. All you have to do is pass a few hints every now and then. You don't have to convince black people about the system anymore. We're just going to make it, we're going to join. Now you're joining for a purpose. So give them a reason to do what they already want to do anyway. Give them a purpose. They're already going to do it, but now it's a purpose. The great purpose to rescue the United States government and the state of Maryland from itself, to prevent it from destroying itself. You may not make the same amount of money in big business, but big business ain't going to be there anymore in a minute. 3-4 days, it's about gone. So you want a stable job? This feeds on everything that the Negro thrive on. Stability, right? To be able to save yourselves and your family, yeah, right? To get them a good education, right? Join the army too. Just don't kill no niggas and no Arabs and all them other old dumb people running around. Just don't kill them. Keep your mouth shut for the first 5 years. After you get enough in there, now you're going to affect the policy. I can't attack them. Why? Because there's no declared war. Nigga, what's wrong with you? Well, I just happen to have the Constitution here and it says, right? Why can you do that? Because you got enough people now. You got an army full of niggas, Mexicans, and all them poor people, right? And they've always used those people to destroy other people. But there's a time in history where everything that was against you can turn around and be for you if you use it right. And that's what we're talking about today. Yeah. Yeah. I'm telling you what we're preaching from now on. We're not going to jump on no thing and run back to Oakland. We're going to turn 4481 into the center for something or other. We'll figure it out in a minute. It's growing, it's coming every day, every minute. All of these notes are coming from the thing has been growing and building up all the time. And then boom, it just drops in there. All right, that's what's happening. It's not started today or it just happened and that's different. No, it's not different. We've been doing this. We've been involving here for, man, everything we've been doing is pointed in this direction. 15 years ago, our friends are going to be tree huggers. It was almost 10 years ago when we'd go over to these programs, standing outside of, what's her name? And, what are we talking about? We're talking about our beloved ayats. Our beloved ayats about who is better in speech? Those who call men to Allah, work righteous deeds and say, right? We've been headed this way, and Hamimun and all of that, warm, fuzzy, you're going to be the wali. You remember what we said? You're going to be the wali of those people, them people, that people. Huh? There used to be enmity and hatred, and now you're the warm and fuzzy friends. Hamim, warm, fuzzy friend. You ain't gonna just be, oh, you my homeboy. No, cracker. You just fuzzy wuzzy. This is not new. Is it new? It's not new at all. It's an evolution. See, everybody else is stuck on that dumb stuff, whatever they stuck on. Even if they stuck on something good, we are not stuck on things. We are a evolutionary, right? We changed the terminology from revolutionary to evolutionary. In other words, we're growing at all time. It's not a sudden and quick change, but it evolves step by step. And you look up and you say, there's a rabbit. Well, he didn't start out, he's been evolving. And that's what we've been doing. Okay, we're going to pick up. We have limited choices. Flood the government, continue higher education while you work. In other words, if you just have a them little degrees, BAs now, that'll get you off and started, but you keep studying while you're working. Why? Because everything I heard is that people that are studying in a system and they get all them things in their record, right? You go up the list. What about in 10 years when we have people highly educated, purposeful? They're not there just so they won't starve to death. Okay, so 80% of them are. It doesn't make critical mass. When you get enough people structured and organized, and that's the only place you're going to be able to do it. You think we can do it? Everybody come over here. We're going to get that old mean old white man. They stand at the door. You go over there, you go there. They everywhere but here. In D.C. right now, the people here are everywhere but here. And hopefully we get to a few people, but we don't know what blockage they put on. Something ain't coming in, because when we was hooked up on that internet and stuff, they just closed it down and said that somebody was going to do this or that. So we have to change your email. That's what Muhafiz and Bahia did. They just changed my email. And they said and they had somebody call me and said, did you put out a message that you needed $700 and you're in London? I said, no, I'm in Oakland and I ain't put out nothing. It was all a farce. So I used to get zillions of emails. Because everybody said, get on that. And my email list, I was hooked up with everybody. They said this nigga got too many contacts. I was getting mail from London, from everywhere. So they cut it off. I ain't said nothing. I ain't worried about it at all, because Allah helps you in many ways. Okay. So this higher education stuff, that means you're using the system, you're becoming a real beneficiary. You're using the system for the benefit of humanity, not just yourself. But in the meantime, the only stable income you'll be able to get in a little while will be not from factories and all that, federal, state, county, and city workers, right? And if you got all of your people, which they're there now, but they're unconscious people. That's what the thing about the Judas Code and teaching the people about consciousness. If we teach enough consciousness and they stay plugged in where they want to be, right? We can have a certain amount of security on ourselves and on our people Otherwise, the way the Negroes is acting and them tattletales, you ain't got no security on nothing. They can do whatever they want to us as a people. They are doing it. I mean, good God Almighty, what do we need for the people to show us we don't like you, niggas, and we do what we want to do? And one dummy, we send him up there, we just send him for the heck of it. This is just one dummy, a sacrificed fool. Right? He just went overboard. And what else do you expect if you have, does anybody understand when the Israelis teach your police department, your police begin to act like we're Palestinians? It's bad enough being black, but black and Palestinian too, with a Jew, with a Zionist, he can do anything that you want. It's unbelievable. So if I be good, they won't bother me. Then you's a dumb nigga. Yes, you's a dumb nigga. You dumb as you can get. But when the white man get boxed in, the big boss, you gotta go. You think I'm gonna save my nigga here. This my nigga. He been with me all the time. He done stuck with me. Let's go and see where it's happened before. Or the closer you get, the quicker he can throw you overboard, right? The nigga gotta go overboard standing next to the white man if he can get the gravity on you. Yes, that's the way it is. It's not nothing new. So now we're gonna use the system for ourselves. For good. Remember now, this language is not new. It's just you're hearing it different. We've always been America the Good. Does anybody remember America the Good? That's us. America the Good. We've been headed this way all along. You'd have to be a dummy not to realize that they have a saying that people keep trying the same thing over and over again and it's not working, there's something wrong with them. Except for prophets and other good people like that, that's not true. You keep doing that same, if you got that message, you do it over and over again. That's same thing with us. We keep doing what we're doing. The only thing is we've evolved to a level of reality. We're not joining the system to hurt nobody. We're not joining the system to break nobody's back. We're joining the people to rescue the people because the people are not able to rescue or protect themselves. They got old Al out there blowing his horn right now. And they got the old cha-cha-cha Negro lawyer. I don't even think he can speak English. You ever see him? It's pitiful. Okay, you want them to save your black ass?
And they doing it for money.
Yeah, you want them to save you? But now you got to remember, even in legal terms, let's say just like FBI, or there's 10% good in just about that. So the same thing in the legal sense. When they start challenging us legally, we're going to give it, we'll have the records of all the so-called good attorneys. We'll have them. We'll make them specialize in civil service disputes. That's what it'll be, civil service, right? Another thing, you have to pass an act of Congress to fire somebody in the civil service, don't you? You can't get rid of nobody, and they got all kind of stacks of stuff to protect themselves. Civil service, like a government worker, that's who I mean, a government worker. This is not only the ones you see, this includes, okay, you tree huggers, your ex-escapees from Berkeley and from Davis, UC Davis, join these departments, to take care of the trees in the forest rangers. put on a gun, or if they tell you to, don't shoot nobody, but, right? Critical mass. You can't do nothing out there spiking them trees, right? But if you get enough number of them, this is a policy not only for Negroes, this is a policy for the United States. Take the systems that they have, saturate them with people who are semi-conscious. And if 10% is conscious, that's enough. Semi-conscious is sufficient. And as far as money, that used to be the low level will. You won't get rich, but ain't nobody else gonna get rich in a few years. And if you want financial stability, tell the truth. I mean, just think about it. It'll be the government, where you can think. Ain't nobody else gonna have no money. Everybody else gonna be in debt. You can't give money away forever. There was already 30 billion or 60 trillion. I mean, technically, you don't know how much money they're in debt. But it's starting to evolve now. If you looked at the price of margarine, something like that, and what's the name of that stuff? Not Shoppers. It haven't doubled in Shoppers, but in places like Giant, they try to play around. But look last year and look this year. Certain things I buy, they done almost doubled in price. Doubled in price. Okay. So inflation, you can't give money away forever and it don't begin to deflate or inflate, all that. Okay. So education while you work. If you have a low degree, bachelor's degree, study while you work. Remember, you won't get rich, but you won't starve to death either. And if you save your money enough, you can actually, you could do pretty good. Because government jobs still pay what was known as a middle class salary, right? Okay. Even if you work in the post office. Well, we're not saying that. Post office will kill you anyway. I wouldn't want nobody to get under no pressure in the post office. Have they slowed down on killing people?
Well, it seems like as a policy change for them, they cut back on everything in the post office. So I guess so.
But the post office used to be, people used to go ballistic. I don't know what they was feeding them.
But you know what? Since I work out there by the post office,
Right.
what you do see, a lot of drinking. You walk around the main post office,
Right.
and where they park, it's lined liquor bottles, cases of beer, and you know it's them.
Right.
So they do a lot of drinking on their, so it must be something with that job
Right.
that causes them to do that.
That means military people do the same thing. All those people with those redundant jobs. But here's the things, redundancy with a purpose. When you're working toward a higher goal, you try to keep, okay, I'm gonna try to speed up. I got 2-3 pages, I'm only on the top of the page. What is this, intelligence, something other? Artificial intelligence. We don't have that much time because artificial intelligence, plug in, that's all, you can't get 1 or 2 years behind. All right, now, that's why we don't have the time anymore to deal with a protracted type situation. We're not going to just speed around with a head cut off, chicken's head, but artificial intelligence. The way I look at it is we have to get to a level that we can put a check on these people. Because like everything, if they're not in check, they're going to keep floating. They got a space force now. You idiot, you can't do nothing. And you got people going up to the Arctic saying, well, we can drill in the Arctic, the last pristine place on earth, and they're going to drill. We got to stop them because they're crazy. They've been infected with Reba. That's what it says. The touch of Reba drives you crazy, right? Those people and their greed. What was that movie, The Day the Earth Stood Still? When the guy come from outer space?
The alien said, yeah, y'all gotta shut this down.
Yeah, he said, we're going to, they said, but can't you, the lady's talking to the guy, can't you give us another chance? He said, oh, we've been shooting, no, we've been, hey. But you said you came to save us. And then she thought about it. You came to save the earth from us. So you can't take it. There's only a few places in the universe like this. We can't afford it. You don't. And then so finally, on and on. But the point is this. What that white lady said that was playing Secretary of State, she pulled out a thing. She said, anytime superior people or things come in contact with an inferior, they either enslave them, the Incas of Peru, right, when the Europe, all these, which for them is true, because they're not have the control of their nafs. Imagine artificial intelligence gone wild. Let's take it easy. Like, for instance, society now is, we don't need to invent and find out a whole lot. We need to take it easy and slow down. Like before you move into a new house, you got to clean up the old one and everything and get everything. You don't just leave the one trash and move to another. They don't want to even clean up the earth. They don't want to use their technology for the air, the land, the water, right? They don't want to do that. They don't want to slow down. And ain't nobody telling them to slow down. Some people are saying, so what we're saying is we have to move close to a principle of power more or less at an accelerated speed now. Why? You can't trust them for nothing. You can't trust the system for nothing. It don't operate properly. If you're Indian, it just wants your tribal land, it's just going to kill you. If you're a nigger, we just want to work you death, and then we don't need you now, so we'll kill you. Whoever you are, well, if you have no benefit, look at the population of the world. What is the benefit of all of these people? So you think that they ain't gonna hook up something to finish you off, all the people? Because they figure we got a beautiful world. If we only had a few million people on earth, it would be a nice place. You don't think they think like that? If they had only a few million people alive on earth, right? It would be a nice place. First, we'll get them to clean it up and everything, and then they already got designer stuff will kill niggas, won't kill nobody else. To kill Mexicans or people that are 90% Mexican. Few wiggle through. They got designer stuff that kills people. People who are Poles and Russians and all of that stuff. They got something for everybody. And other people got something for them too. And they run in the world and you don't run nothing. That's pitiful, right? Think about it. those jackasses can do whatever they want, whatever's on their mind, for their benefit. And right now, you're not necessary. They got cotton pickers. And pretty soon, we don't need all that cotton anyway. We just want fresh water and everything. We want the world depopulated. And whatever the people are going to look like, the depopulated people, I don't know. Whatever they look like, probably. Some people are dumb enough to make machines. They're making machines now to do everything. And what do they think the machines is going to do when they done dumped everybody else? The machines going to figure out how to fix themselves, right? Because they're smarter. They can think of all this stuff. It takes a human being, got to have a little paper from here to there, got to do research for 10 years, 50 years, still don't know nothing. A machine is fed all that. It can make it just 30 seconds, I'd figure all that out. Okay, we're when we talk about psychozoic ages and all that, we're not just messing around. This stuff is real. Everything we're saying right here is real. And ain't nobody playing with nobody. And ain't nobody, all this stuff, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, kindness and mercy, they don't know anything about what you're talking about. And your beautiful children and your beautiful family, they don't. I helped you, boss. Help. Past tense. What can you do now to help, boss man? Nothing. But I helped you do this and that. Hey, man, you got to understand the difference between present tense and past tense. You helped. You're not necessary. How do they feel about things that are not needed anymore? Their grandparents. Throw them away. Who needs granny anyway? Right? That's the way they do. You might like your grandmama. They don't. You ever see they get them in them old folks' home and don't even go see them. A lot of them. That's how they feel about themselves. And you think that person is going to. Anyway, I'm going to speed up. 10 years implementation. 10 years, between 5 and 10 years is a period where you begin to implement all these things. It might be sooner than that. You'll have a critical mass, because remember, we already got millions of people in the civil service already. We just got to assimilate it with thinking people, right? That you're not here just to do a job for Mr. Charlie, as they used to call it. Level of commitment, accelerate till you reach critical mass. Okay. Purposeful assimilation. It's for these purposes. The purposes are good. If they were to put you on a lie detector test and ask you, no, I'm here to protect and defend the Constitution of Maryland. And it'll come up true. Because that's why you're there. Keep feet on the ground and your head up in the clouds. In other words, above the clouds where you can see clearly. Keep our feet on the ground. But keep our vision above the clouds, because we have to see clearly and not be high above, enough above the clouds so we can see what's going on. Purposeful infiltration. We haven't did It's been about 10 years since we did our Sabiquns. We'll be back doing our Sabiqun soon. Because we have to outline, we have to write this out. This is like that was then. We had no period. It's been a 10-year hiatus, let's call it. Because we was doing what we do. It's our business. But now it's clear. We would have been just writing and writing, but now it's clear. Okay, articles of business. Able service research challenges and opportunities. Experts. At the university, I used to monitor classes at UC Berkeley all the time. But I was just up there one day, this class in Bunnell Hall, and I read on a thing of foreign, for Arabic students, a foreign something or other. So I went and sat in on a class. It was all white folks and Jews, Yahud. The difference here, we're going to. Israelis, let's call it Israeli-minded, Zionists. In those days, like now, the numbers were unbelievable. Everybody that interpreted what happened in the Middle East was on the Zionist team. And the Egyptian, he wasn't the Egyptian ambassador, but he was a high official from Egypt. This might have been 83. And so he was speaking to the class. And so it was open. I just sat in. And he was talking all of that anti-Shia, pro-American. We know who the Shias are and all of that stuff. And so when it was over, I asked a few questions. And I said, and the class was kind of upset. They was white folks, which of course I didn't care. The student doesn't treat the professor like that. I said, well, that's because of such and such. And then we already know that 70% of Iraq is Shia. They already knew all the formula, all the stuff. But those guys, they're going to be, right now, they're retiring. That was 30 years ago or more. They're retiring from teaching lies to all the people. Because in those days, all the spots for even Arabic teachers, a lot of them was Jews, Israelis, types, or Israeli Arabs. Even in our Masjid in Oakland, a couple of Israeli Arabs who are technically the police. At least they supported Abdul Malik and Mukhtar and them. Right? They used to put all Abdul Malik stuff out and wouldn't put none of mine out. So the people, well, it's just okay, it's no big deal. But he told me he was an Israeli Arab. He didn't have to teach me anything, tell me anything else. And the business he had and all that, he didn't have to tell me how they, yeah, I got that, I understand that. It's no problem. But here's what I'm saying. At the universities, hopefully there's been a little change over the decades, but we have to put people that interpret reality in those positions. So more Muslims who are trained and educated have to be in those positions. And they know it. I mean, Isna, Iknanam, they have all these things. And you see more Muslim names now. But the people they got in there are not much better than the Israelis, but I mean, at least you can approach them. And they're treating the people so bad that if you're a Palestinian, you have to be semi-conscious. Except that woman, what's her name, that ride in all them limousines? Yeah, that's her. They said that girl is stretching out. Don't make no difference. That's who they'll have, huh?
All of those that were the so-called leaders of those, they all stretch it out now. They all get paid.
If we depend on them, they're what they call. You remember what I told you about the Judas goat? Takes them all to slaughter. We're in a bad situation. We have to make this. When I say we, you and me, right here. Ain't nobody else. If you go, get in your car, get a plane, walk around the United States, technically around the world. They're not out there. They're talking about this in the way we're talking about it. And we're at this point because time done slipped up on us. It ain't slipped up on us. It's moving fast. That's all. Okay. So experts, the Iranians, others have been getting chairs in certain universities, and they have a few speakers now. You know, Hossein Mousavian and a few more that was in the diploma that you appreciate listening to. But the experts are still Israeli types. The experts are still Israeli types. We have to challenge them. We have to educate our own people. So we got wrote here, meet them in the battle space. All of these are battle spaces. Let's meet them there. So it's not only the police department. It's not only the state police or the FBI or all those others. We have to strategically locate ourselves now. Strategically locate ourselves inside of the United States. That's the As-Sabiqun for now. That's where we're headed. We'll pick up a little bit. UC Berkeley experience. I just talked about that. Look, I was at one big conference at UC Berkeley. It had to have been 20, 30, maybe, let's say 35 years ago. They was talking about the subject of the day, leftists and new terrorist groups and all of that. And I was sitting right here, and one of the speakers, a white lady, her purse was sitting there. She looked at me and looked at her purse and snatched it to herself. The safest place for her purse was with me watching it. Right? She didn't know that. All she saw was a black face, and when you go up there and you hear them talk, they have an educated approach to how they present their stuff. And if they're telling the story, you're going to be the bad guy. You're not going to do anything. There's nothing good about you if they tell the story. So we have to integrate that storytelling. That's why here in the last bit about Palestine and the stuff that happened over there recently, the narrative is a little bit different. And it sounds more victorious. Why? Because we've infiltrated ourselves into telling the narrative. And then when they tell blatant lies, we have a chance to semi-correct them. Those are very important because, see, the people's mind. Okay, so our Sabiquns, we're getting back to our Sabiqun and human purpose. This go around, we know where everything is and who everybody is. This is important. We know who Press TV is. We know most of the people on it, and we know their behavior pattern. We know who Talib Zadi is. He was on here. Gotta have you here. And then after the next week, we don't want to hear nothing from you. Right? It's okay. No big deal. We know who RT is. We know who everybody is. So we can see the people that infiltrated from here. They look up. They running around at demonstrations. You know, Black Lives Matter and whatever people used to be doing. You know, some of the white folks. We was demonstrating with who? All those people. Yeah, answer all of them. We know who everybody is now. Okay, that's a big help, internal and externally. So there's things called judo and jiu-jitsu. They're not where you beat the people up. You just throw them down, disable them. You know what I mean? So we're into psycho-jiu-jitsu. Okay. Use all what we have acquired. Start with what we have. Okay. We'll go to California later, but we're going to start raising funds right now. We're going to frame the projects, and we're going to start going right around here to different universities and start perfecting. You know, as you do something more, you test it and you get feelers of what goes over. You know, so if we're talking to a university audience, right, a good speaker can tell how that's getting over. And if you're speaking at Howard or another black university, you get used to what we can say to them to get them to move. Well, at the University of Arizona, and most of the people are white, you might have, right, a similar but different approach. The only way to find out for sure is get in the mix. So that's what we're looking to do right now. And all the stuff that we want to do is placed with priorities. This project is number one priority. Fighting our case in California probably is number three priority, number three or number two. The National Homeless Project that we got in mind, all those things take a lot of people. So we've been not resting, but we've been here doing what we do. It don't make no difference what Boss Man thought we was doing. One of my friends, we used to run them hills. Boy, he's from Sudan. I mean, those East Africans and Northeast Africans really can run. There was two Sudanese brothers we'd run every morning in Oakland. And one of them came by not long ago. So he said, well, maybe they're just leaving you alone a little bit because they figure you're older and you're not, you know. So I just smiled and said, but that's not true. Sometime when you get older, remember, what did we talk about? Age, no, but that's the old master. Remember in martial arts, anything, the old master is not jumping up and down and hollering and turning flips. If you hit at him, he just, you know, a quarter inch, that's good enough. It's like a whole miss. But the other guy, the young guy, and that's the way they are, young, they're like that. Okay? So we've studied all along. And you could tell by the dialogue that we have been studying. Well, we're here, so that lets you know that something's going on. Okay, I'm going to speed up and move toward a close. We have been here for decades. So we have to rise to the level necessary to solve today's problems. This is what we're talking about. This is something that was handed to us. It's not what was on our agenda. It was kind of there, but in other words, this is the threat, this is the danger. We have to get on it. Because we realize that's what As-Sabiqun do. It don't make no difference what they do. They're not As-Sabiqun. They don't go out front. They don't lead the way. You know, they might be in the way, but they're not going to lead the way. Yeah, okay. Possibility thinking and believing, hey, we have to look. It's good and it's necessary. Vocabulary of our time, mission, work, yeah. Vocabulary that goes with our job. Inspirational focus on mission in writing, speaking, and entertainment. Style of infiltration. Informed infiltration. Focused infiltration. Purposeful infiltration. In other words, constitutional infiltration. It's not anything legal nor sinister. Let me clear. There's nothing illegal nor sinister. When we use the term infiltration, that means that we're just joining up. So that we could use the mechanisms for what they were intended to be used for. I mean, really intended. So we want to use the court system so you can go in there and really get a fair trial. Yeah. Okay. Rosa Parks was by choice. When, where, and how. The NAACP did just, she wasn't riding on the bus and I'm just tired. I don't know. Right? She was selected. How she looked, her level of education, her demeanor, everything, it was photogenic. Right? She wasn't like the big black woman right down there in Virginia that stood up on the same principle. I'm going to go out that butt, me and my children, you old crackers throwing those. Well, they didn't put her, the NAACP didn't want her, just like the NAACP didn't want us. I told the NAACP about that. Well, I tried to get somewhere. They didn't want to hear it. They said, they sent me a card to send them some money or something. But they don't want to hear nothing about it. I said, okay, I know that. Rosa Parks, by choice. What we're doing is by choice, not by chance. Do we see the difference between what we're doing is by choice, not by chance? Okay. What we was doing has not worked, and that's not why we're not doing it, but the language of suffering and sacrifice is not going down well with the people. None of the people. The Muslims that know it well, and they recited wonderful in the Arabic and everything. They don't want to have nothing to do with it, though, right? Tell the truth. That ain't going down. That's like a lead balloon. Right? It's really a lead balloon. And we're not wrong about what we're, but if there's something the people want, they want to do it, and it's easy to do if we can use it right. But you know, if you can use the right stuff, people will go a long way. Like you tell people You put your life on the line, risk your life and all of that stuff, and we'll give you a free education. And the people don't say, oh, I just put my life in danger, and everybody wants peace and security. Oh, they're gonna do that, and I'll get to go. All they can think about is I get to go to school, right? Huh? It's, okay, we're not into that, but at this time, we are not selling long-suffering and the language of sacrifice. And, of course, the elements that are there, just like what we read today, the elements, we're dealing with reality. We're not going to change the thing to get you to join the police department when you're already getting ready to join anyway. Global transition made simple and easy. Yeah, global, all this is, lose weight in 20 days, lose 100 pounds in 20 days on our Negro diet, something like that. Drama, storytelling, adventure, storyline on our side. Revolution of our time. 2020 vision, this is 2021. This is a new era, and this is it. Brother Tufel and I used to talk about whether this coming period is the last go-round or second to the last go-round. That wasn't a mistake, but what we should have been doing is we treat everyone, every step, every stage like it's the last go-round. You don't say, well, we're going to have one more go-round after this. You don't know that. Earth firsters, life firsters, all of that. Now, the floor is open to challenge the subject matter. So, feel free to ask any question about, I know I went a little fast, but yeah, the weather. Oh, it's just getting started. The hurricane season, this is the top of the hurricane season. This is the top. But what about our proposals? Do they make sense? Anybody thought about them from the other day? It's quite a change.
It's kind of like, I think oftentimes it's like about, well, the analysis kind of stands up, to reasoning. But then now the question becomes of, well, Tariq, what are you going to do about that? That's what eventually is, okay, yeah, the analysis is correct. The analysis, for the most part, has been correct. It's just like, then you kind of move past that and it's like, well, Tariq, where are you going to fit into this? And I have some ideas, but, well, not that I don't have some ideas, but like, it's kind of like that, it's about action, that's where I'm kind of.
Okay, well, no, I don't, technically, this is the way I feel about it. Technically, what we've been doing, this does not change or alter all of the stuff we've been doing and talking about over the last decade have been this type of thing. Okay, our big project, homelessness. Getting military bases and getting personnel that's had some experience in managing that means colonel, take care of our boys, majors, generals, people that would do it free, you know what I mean, to help their boys. But to administer a military base, After we get the idea, we can do it. But you got to take care of certain things. It's not only the food, not only the kitchen workers, not only the intake of people, right, and what have you. All of that has to have a flow. And as we get into it, we want to evolve at our ability to do it. To collect food, non-profit food, that means we have to have fleets of trucks and what have you going throughout. We start in the Bay Area, the area we know, right? That's a big project. It's like running, it's like being, it's bigger than being some executive. That's a big deal. And we can't do that being what we are doing now. So we have already talked about this stuff. Already, it's all been the same. And we've been saying that the people that we have to sell people on, it's all right to help because these are your boys. These are your girls, right? And we didn't leave your boys and girls out there to drown in alcohol and drugs, right? We're trying to help. We want you to help. So help us run this. You've been on military bases all your life. Help us run this. Help us organize it. But here are the principles. You can't just run it and have everybody running around the yard all you know what I mean, making everybody salute. They can't do that. But with kindness, remember, we said how we're going to do this. We're going to do those things with kindness. You see what I mean? With kindness. So we've already talked about this stuff over and over again. Okay. It can do anything to us it wants, which it does. All right? So the only thing is that when we look at the whole picture, we have to help everybody, basically. And we have to enlist everybody. We have to give people a higher goal in life, a mission in life. That's what we got. That's our part in this, initiating it. And the only reason it's our part is because Hollywood doesn't understand what to do. Nobody seems to have a sociological, financial, economic, ethical picture of how to fit all this together. That they just don't. Okay, we do. So we just have to act up to our ability. That's our ability. And we give it a try. We want to do this, so Islamically, we already get the reward for doing it. We get one reward. So like what we said here today, if we just want to do this, technically we're on free. I mean, not on free, but you got a lot of chips in your thing if you want to do this, right? And you got to get a lot of other negative chips to pull away from this because it's so elevated. Okay, the other thing is about evolution, the evolution of the personality and the evolution of the soul. Let's call it taskiyah bil nafs and all of that type of stuff. The purification of the elevated soul. You don't have over 5 or 10 people that would want to do this this thing. They would have too many holdups. Well, I like all the people in the world except 10% niggas. I don't like them. Or I'm black. I ain't helping no white folks, low down crackers. They did this, they did that, right? But them Mexicans, man, them Julios, them this and that, right? They're all right, but they just stole every job and got me out here panhandling. Worked for nothing for 5 years, then got everybody broke, us broke, and now they done double the price on everything, right? Yeah. Well, they did what that's what America's about. We don't hate them for doing that. Where they come from, I've been where they come from. You don't know nothing about starving. I heard something about Haiti yesterday. Poor lady from Haiti. I had a friend. He was from Florida. He was one of them radio preachers, and he was also a gambler. He ran gambling houses and stuff like that, you know. And we was both on the move. He had broke some law, preaching the gospel upside down or something. I don't know. But he was big. And he said, yeah, Hank, they gave me a thing that I could come to Haiti. But you know what? It was too poor. I couldn't just look at you know what I mean? Now, he's not a criminal, but I mean, he just come out of that, you know. Then I went to Haiti later. And I was flying in. Do you know those World War II Hellcats and propeller planes that you see on all the World War movies? That was the Air Force. And this was in the 70s, something when I went there. Haiti, it was so... Yeah, well, that's what the old white man said. He said, you know, those Haitians in 1803, they the first one that broke away from white rule, and he said it, the old white man that everybody knows his name, or Reverend so and such and such. Yeah, and they deserved it. Yeah, he said that a few years ago. But anyway, about us. We don't have not misgivings or misapprehension about this. We believe this is the good thing to do, and more than that, it's the right thing to do. I don't. That's why we ask, what do people think, so we can. But this stuff has evolved. And we technically, we've talked about everything. It just didn't seem like that's where it was going to wind up, right? But we done talked about all of this over and over and over again. That's what makes us As-Sabiqun. We're not like them Arabs that want a job or stuff like that. We're not choosing something that, you know what I mean? That, oh, that's what we want. We get to do that, and they gonna, like I close with one of my partners, a big preacher in Oakland. He said, yeah, man, I'm gonna hook this up, and then I'm gonna get us all some money. Gonna get you in on it. I said, you don't have to put me in on none of that. I said, I don't take money from the government like that. I don't take money from the government. Now, if they want to drive a car by there at 60, 70 miles an hour and throw a big bag of money over there, it's okay. They keep going. It's fine. We'll take it, we'll pick it up and use it. But we're not signing for nothing. This is for da-da-da-da-da-da. If they want to cut things on our military bases and give them to us for $1 a year or something like that, that's okay. They're not using it. It's just sitting there falling apart. Okay, but now this is about evolution. This is a period from us jumping from studying and rehearsals to implementation. Inshallah. Are there any questions or any comments? And I'll ask again, does any of this make sense? Remember, we have to think about it. What part of it needs patching up? What part of it, nobody comes up with a perfect plan overnight. And if they did, it would still have to be shaped and formed and fashioned. Yeah.
In the past, how did you how did you get speaking arrangements on campuses in the past?
Well, in the past, I would either know somebody at MSA and they would ask me to come, and we had programs and somebody from campus or what have you. I have an idea. I'll fix up a flyer like.
Yeah, because I did some research.
Yeah.
I put out some feelers to, who recommend the college.
Oh yeah. We'll start with the BSUs. And we'll.
So it seems like you would just put together like just a little flyer about what you plan on talking about, and then I just have to just get in touch with the coordinators.
Yeah. It won't be. Shoot, we could get started. I don't know. We used to be over at Howard every weekend almost, but now.
You have one, member of the last year goes to Howard, so.
Is that right? Oh, okay.
Do you have active in the state of?
Well, we could have one of our inauguration programs, put out a flyer and starting to break down, and we could have it. What's the hall, the nice comfortable thing out by the parking lot? The hall over there where we would have all them programs. That's okay. We know where it's at. Blackburn Center. Yeah, that's it.
I guess that's first order. I'm gonna go ahead. I'll get in touch with. I'll talk to my wife because I know she has seen sometimes comes to the classes up there. We go over everything out.
No, see, we give out once we've given 4, 5, or 10 lectures. We'll be in. But we have question and answers. We'll have shaped this boy. You know what I mean? It'll be. We'll have 3 different varieties or more, according to the university makeup. If we're way over with a mixed crowd and such, we'll drop this on them. If it, you know what I mean, you get so used to doing it, it's easy. But I think this would be a fresh message, and not only fresh, it would give them the okay to do what they was going to do anyway. Because I think 90% of the Negroes join some form of the government. Yeah. They just join it. It's just, now we're giving them a purpose. And this is not a sinister purpose. There's nothing sinister about what we're doing. Just because the government don't trust you if you sell popsicles on the corner. That's the way they are. Ain't nothing they can do. Once you get on their list, they just, no, there's something going on here. It don't make no difference. That's all right. But for the people and the professors, and once we start hitting a stride in this, every university, the BSU will call the other one and say, hey man, guy came in here and he made a little sense. He made more sense than anybody else, than all them line sharptons and them and, fanfare. They said, this is thought out. This is not, you know what I mean? This is more genuine. Okay. So we'll get started on that. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to be here a little while. We go out there when we get ready. And yeah, we go out there when we get ready. And when we go out there with this already structured, we'll hit everywhere we go, we'll, you know, yeah, sure. Yep. We can give talks in lounges, you know, when, yeah.
I was just thinking about the Sankofa bookstore that's across the street from our house.
Yep.
Only because, they have quote unquote, authors and speakers from,
Right.
and they have I'm actually on their email list, so they have a reach.
Okay.
Even if there was some way that we could just take them a program, this is what we want to talk about.
Right.
See what your schedule is.
Okay. Plus, Sankofa has a lot of black. So we would have to structure it in the language. Yeah, we don't want to come in like Uncle Tom's. Uncle Tom's Cafe. Yeah. No, I'm just saying, because see, they would have somebody in the audience that they would put somebody in the audience, knowing what we're going to talk about, to try to bring that out, that part of it out. So no, they definitely they're not gonna let us just go around and happy days. They're gonna work against it, because see, remember, the last thing I want to say, the government is so stupid and out to lunch that they don't want. If you study our lectures, we've been trying to reach out to help them all along. That's what we've been telling them. We'll just help you. We're just too stupid. It sounds strange, but they're too stupid. They're too, let somebody help them that don't want nothing from them. Well, if you was talking that Sharpton talk or that other talk, then we would understand that, right? We see we know what you mean. But you don't want nothing. You just want to come in and talk to people as human beings and deliver a message that might be of help.
The
But
language of the hereafter is foreign to them. If they don't understand that,
we look at it like this, that the time of prophethoods is over, but some of the work that we do, and the world is at the same stage that it would be during those days. It's dire, it's all messed up, right? It's tragedy, right? Now, the work that we have to do is that work, but Negro don't have no commission to do it. But that's the work that has to be done. And the opposition that they had, you have the same opposition. Yeah, ain't nobody, we didn't send out enough feelers that if somebody wanted to pick up on, they ain't pick up on nothing. They don't want to hear it. Being warm and fuzzy friends and all of that, they don't want to hear it. Okay, so if that's all, if there's no more questions and comments, we really appreciate it. We got some work ahead. Like, it's not vacation is over, but it is work time. Like, I can feel it myself that it's more of a work schedule. Cleaning here and there, doing this and doing that. So only thing we're thinking about is that place over there should be 4481. Should we tile part of it and make that, when you go up the stairs, those 2 bedrooms and the living room, make that part carpet and the other part, you know, office like, that type of thing. So we're thinking about that. But now we're in the fundraising mode. This project has to be funded, so we will be structuring things to raise funds, you know, and,
I'll ask about the fundraising part, I guess, during next meeting. I don't want this to run over. I'm trying to get home pretty fast.
okay, no, well, we'll let you go then. Thank you very much. Kula Kali Hada, Astaghfirullah Alaihi Wasallam.